I have been watching how you have been standing on what cannot hold you. The opinion of one person, the number in one account, the health of one body, the behavior of one child. Right now, before this short message ends, allow me to show you the rock that has been under you the whole time, the one that does not move when those move. Come a little closer. Stay near. There is no rush in this room. I am the ground beneath the ground you are standing on. I see you, the mother holding her household together by the strength of her smile, certain that if her smile falters one Tuesday afternoon, the whole thing will come down. I am beside her. A father whose self-worth has been silently chained to a paycheck that arrived late this month has not been overlooked. There is a daughter who has built her sense of being okay on a parent's mood, and the parent's mood is unstable, and the daughter is tired. The one who used to be the strong friend of the group, who carried everyone through their hard years, and now has nothing left for his own. None of you are hidden from me. The young man whose entire footing was a job title he no longer wears, walks the same streets he used to walk and feels them tilt under him. None of this escapes me. I keep count of every wobble. There is also the woman who built an entire interior life on a marriage that has grown quieter than she imagined a marriage could grow. There is a grown son still standing on a father's approval that may never arrive in the shape he is hoping for. A widow who has been balancing on the memory of the one who is gone, asking the memory to do work the memory was never built to do. A young couple whose footing has been the dream of a child their bodies have not yet given them, and the dream has begun to wobble under the weight of waiting. None of those small ledges have been hidden from me either. I've been standing alongside each one of them, watching the soul on top doing exhausting work to keep its balance, longing for the moment the soul finally turns and notices that a deeper ground is right there waiting. You did not choose to make your inner life rest on these small surfaces. You were taught to. A child learns to stand on the praise of the loudest adult in the room because that is where the floor seemed firmest at the time. A teenager learns to plant his identity in performance because performance was the one ground that did not shift between report cards. An adult learns to place her sense of safety inside a checking account because the household she grew up in shook every time the household balance dipped. The small surfaces you have been standing on are not character flaws. They are the ledges you found when the ground of your childhood was uneven, and you have been balancing on them with great skill for many years. I have not been angry at the balancing. I have been near it, tender about it, wishing you knew that under all of those small ledges, an older floor has been waiting. Place your foot flat on the floor beneath you and let it press back. Just one foot. Notice how the floor presses up into the sole of your shoe with the same pressure you are pressing down. That returning pressure is not your imagination. It is the floor doing what floors do. It does not negotiate its support. It does not check your worthiness before it agrees to hold you. It holds because that is what it was built to do. And it has been holding you in this exact way for every step of every day of your life, without your gratitude or your attention. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Let the foot stay flat for a few more seconds. The floor knows how to do this without your help. A long stretch of your inner life has been spent rehearsing what would happen if one of those small surfaces gave way. A whole bedtime ritual built around it. The mind walks the perimeter of your finances and inspects every crack. The chest tightens around the thought of a relationship turning. The shoulders lift toward the ears at the memory of a conversation where someone's approval briefly slipped. None of this is weakness. This is the natural behavior of a creature who has been told, by the world it grew up in, that its safety depends on surfaces that are themselves moving. A creature given a moving floor will spend its life trying to memorize the movements. That is not faith. That is exhaustion, dressed as vigilance. Allow me to retire the costume. The neighbor whose marriage is quieter than it used to be has been told her household is the foundation, and she has been working overtime to keep that foundation polished. A man 2 streets over has been told his career is the foundation, and he has been pouring all his hours into reinforcing it. And the reinforcing has cost him his sleep and his joy. A grandmother has been told her health is the foundation, and every flutter in her chest is red as the floor about to give. Each of those is a ledge, not a foundation. Ledges are useful, narrow, often beautiful, sometimes generous for a season. But no soul was built to be a tightrope walker forever. You were made to stand on bedrock. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that strength is something you generate, that fortitude is a personal trait. Some people have more, some less, and you must work harder to build yours up if you want to be the kind of adult who does not crumble. The teaching sounded sensible. It came from kind voices mostly. It produced a generation of people who carry their backs at 30 in the posture of people 50, because the weight of being your own foundation will bend a spine before its time. That teaching has never been mine. It has never described how I made you. I did not design you to be a self-supporting structure. No human being was. The very design of your body tells the truth about the design of your soul. Your feet were not made to stand on air. Your spine was not made to hold itself upright without a chair. Your lungs were not made to manufacture their own oxygen. Every layer of your body assumes a holding from something outside itself. The air is held. The chair is held. The floor is held. And then the floor itself is held by the earth, and the earth is held by something older than the earth, and the something older is me. The honest description of strength is not a tower standing alone. It is a creature held by ground. Every strong life you have ever admired was a creature standing on ground it did not generate. You are not the exception to that design. You were never asked to be. The picture of strength you have been carrying in your chest, the lone figure on a hill, jaw set, doing it all with no help, was sketched by hands that did not know me well. A few of those hands meant kindness. Others used the picture to keep you over-functioning so they would not have to grow up themselves. Whatever the source, the sketch has cost you years of leaning. Set the sketch down. Lean it against the wall. Real strength has nothing to do with how thick the legs of the lone figure are. Real strength has everything to do with what the lone figure is standing on. A tree planted in shallow soil grows tall fast and falls in the first hard storm. A tree planted in deep soil grows slower, looks less impressive in the 3rd year, and is still standing in the 60th. You have been admiring the wrong trees. The neighbors whose lives looked enviable a season ago and who are now in pieces were not failures. They were just shallow-rooted, the way most of the world is, and the first hard wind found them. The slower-looking life beside them, the one you sometimes dismissed as boring, was a tree quietly putting roots through rock. The visible difference between those 2 trees was nothing. The invisible difference was everything. A real foundation is not something you build. A real foundation is something you discover under yourself. The discovery is not a project. It is a recognition. You stop trying to assemble a floor underneath your life and you start noticing that a floor has been there all along, holding the floors you built. The floors you built rest on it. Your career rests on it. Your relationships rest on it. The bed you sleep in rests on it. Everything you have ever called a foundation has itself been resting on a deeper one. and the deeper one has been mine. Allow me to read you a song I once handed to a young king while he was still living in caves. Not the polished king of the royal portraits, the hunted king. A man with a price on his head, on the run from another king who had decided to kill him, sleeping in stone shelters across the desert at Engedi, because no roof in the country was safe for him. He had been a shepherd. He had been a court musician. He had been promised a throne by a prophet years before, and the promise had begun to feel like a cruelty rather than a kindness, because the road to the throne was running him through wilderness instead of palaces. In one of those caves, he ate consecrated bread he was not strictly allowed to touch, because he was starving, and because the priest who handed it to him recognized that a hunted man's hunger does not check the regulations first. In another cave, his closest friend's father, the king who wanted him dead, walked in unaware that he was hiding in the shadows at the back. He could have killed the king right there and ended the chase. He chose not to. Mercy held his sword down. He sat with the silence of his own choice and kept running for years longer than any reasonable person would have run. When the chase finally ended and he sat down to write the song of his deliverance, he could have listed his own resourcefulness. He had plenty. He could have praised his own military instincts, his own loyalty under pressure, his own restraint when revenge would have been easier. He did not. He listed 8 names of mine in one breath. 8 different ways I had been his ground across the years no one else could see. This is what I said through him. Psalm chapter 18, verse 2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield, and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Move through it slowly with me. 8 names. He did not pick them randomly. Each one names a different way a person is held when the world has stopped holding them. And a hunted king had needed every one of them. Rock. He starts with rock. Something that does not move when everything else moves. A slab beneath the slab. A kind of stone that was already old when his grandfather was a child, and will still be there when his great-grandchildren are gone. Read it as the floor underneath the floors. Bottom layer. Bedrock that does not check your worthiness before it agrees to hold you up. Fortress. Protection from those who attack. A fortress is not just a wall. A fortress is a place a small group of vulnerable people can run inside when an army arrives, and walls hold them safe while the army wears itself out outside. Receive the picture. Voices that have been attacking your sense of self all year, the inner critic, the relative who never approves, the boss who measures you in numbers. Those voices are an army outside the fortress. Walls are real. You're already inside them. Mine before the army was born. Deliverer. One who pulls out. Rescue when you are stuck. A deliverer is the friend who shows up in the parking lot at midnight when the car has broken down and drives you home without making you feel small about it. A deliverer is the hand that reaches into the well and lifts you out without asking how you fell in. You have been stuck in places this year. Rescue was not late. Help was on the way the moment you began to sink. My God. Notice the small word, my. Personal. Not a deity in general. Not the God of a textbook. Mine. Intimate relationship. A hunted king does not say the God. He says my God, meaning the one who knows his name, his songs, his stupid mistakes with the priest's bread, his restraint in the cave, his loneliness in the dark. Personal possession of a personal father. Read it as a child saying my dad in the school hallway when the parent walks in. That is the tone. That is the relationship. My rock, again. He says it twice in one verse. Some readers have wondered why. They have not lived in a cave. A person who has been hunted does not need a poetic image. A person who has been hunted needs the central thing said twice, so the body believes it. Repetition here is not literary. Repetition is how a tired soul makes a deep truth stick. Stability. Stability. Said over, and not because the poet ran out of words, but because no other word mattered more than that one. Refuge. A place to run to. A small interior room. A safe house. A spot under the table during the bad storm where the noise outside cannot reach. You have not always known you had a refuge. You have spent seasons treating me like a distant office you visit on Sundays. A hunted king treats me like a room he can run into in the middle of a chase. That is the difference between religion and refuge. Religion is the office. Refuge is the room. A room is what I have actually been offering you. Shield. Something that stands between you and the blow, not the thing that prevents the blow from being thrown. Something that absorbs the blow before it reaches your body. Many of the blows you assumed reached you this year did not. They reached the shield. You felt the impact through the metal because that is how shields work. A shield trembles, so you do not have to break. But the cut you were braced for never landed in your skin. A shield is older than your bruise. A shield is mine. Horn of my salvation, strength that lifts. A horn in the old language meant raw power, the kind a wild ox carries on its head. Strength that does not negotiate, strength that wins. Salvation is not only being kept safe, salvation is also being lifted. There is a strength that does not just keep you from falling. It picks you up off the ground when you have already fallen and sets you on your feet again. You have been picked up more times this year than you have counted. Lifting was not your willpower. Lifting was the horn. Stronghold. A high tower with the long view. A watchtower on the hilltop from which you can see what is coming long before it arrives. Standing in my stronghold does not just give you a place to be safe in. It gives you a place to see from. A view from the watchtower is the view a father offers a child. A longer view, a wider view. The kind of view that takes the panic out of the next ridge, because you can see the ridge after the ridge from where you are. You have been trying to read your life from the valley floor. My stronghold is offering you the long view. 8 names, 1 breath. He listed all of them at once because he had needed all of them at once. In the wilderness years where nothing visible in his world had been holding him together. As I once also said through my prophet, laying in my ancient city a stone, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone of a sure foundation. The ground I lay does not pass an inspection because someone certified it. The ground I lay was tested in the only way bedrock can be tested, by holding the weight of generations of weeping people across centuries and not cracking once. Look at the question I opened these words with. I told you you have been standing on what cannot hold you. Here is the answer to why your soul has been tired. Because the small surfaces you have been balancing on were never designed to be foundations. They were designed to be small joys, useful tools, kind ledges. A mother's smile was meant to be a smile, not a load-bearing wall. A paycheck was meant to be a paycheck, not a footing for a personhood. A child's mood was meant to be the weather of a child's day, not the weather of your soul. None of those small surfaces failed because you misused them. They failed because they were never built for the weight you put on them. You have been asking ledges to be bedrock, and ledges are honest. They cannot hold what bedrock holds. Bedrock is me. Bedrock has been under every ledge you ever stood on. When a ledge moves, bedrock does not. When a ledge gives, bedrock catches. When a ledge ends, bedrock is the next step. So here is something small you can carry into the rest of your week. The next time you feel the ground under you shift, and you will, because everything visible was always temporary, pause and ask one question. What am I standing on right now that does not depend on me? Run a quick survey. The job, the relationship, the body, the mood of someone you love. All of those depend in one way or another on conditions that are not under your control. If the answer is nothing, I am the answer. Place one foot down on me, then the next. The walk back to ground takes one step at a time, and you do not have to find the whole floor before you take the first step. The first step finds the floor. The first step always has. You will not feel different the first time you ask the question. You may not feel different the 10th time. But somewhere around the 30th time, you will notice the small wobble inside your chest has gone quieter. Somewhere around the 50th, a hard piece of news will land on a Tuesday afternoon, and you will register a steadiness underneath the reaction you used to have. Somewhere around the 100th, the people closest to you will say you seem different this season, and you will not be able to explain it exactly, because the difference is not anything you built. The difference is something you finally let yourself stand on. A second beat of the practice, when you have a quiet moment. Once the question has surfaced the small surface you were balancing on, do not rush to leave it. Many of those small surfaces are still good things. A paycheck is good, a relationship is good, a child's well-being is good. The practice is not about throwing the small surfaces away. The practice is about returning them to their actual size. A paycheck is a paycheck. A relationship is a relationship. A child is a child. Each one occupies its real place in your life and stops being asked to occupy the place underneath your life. The bedrock under it returns to its real place too. Both things end up in the position they were always meant to be in, and the soul standing on top of them stops being so tired. A third movement, gentler still. The first few times you locate the bedrock under your week, you will be tempted to test it the way you test ice on a pond. One toe out, ready to leap back at the first crack. That is honest. The previous floors of your life cracked under you, and your body is wise to be cautious. Be cautious as long as you need to be. But notice, over the months, that the cracks you have been bracing for have stopped happening. The bedrock has not cracked under one foot. It has not cracked under two. It will not crack under your whole weight either, when you are finally ready to give the whole weight. Take the time you need. The bedrock keeps no clock. It has waited centuries for slower souls than yours. If something in these words is reaching the place where your footing has been giving way, leave the word rock here below, not as a slogan, but as one small stone set down on the bedrock you finally noticed under your feet. Above this video, 7 brief letters are already waiting in the pinned space, one for each of your coming mornings, sent into your inbox the moment a soft yes turns the latch. Take them. To the one of you who has spent years being the strong one in every room, whose own bedrock has been everyone else's emergencies, hear me. Your strength was real. It also wore you down because you forgot to stand on anything yourself. The same strength you have been pouring out into others is going to feel utterly different the day you finally rest the weight of it on what holds you. Lay your weight down. The floor is here. The floor has been here. The floor was never your job to be. To the one whose paycheck arrived late this month, and whose chest has been clenched around the number. Hear this too. The paycheck is a useful ledge. It is not the bedrock. The bedrock under your finances is a father who has fed people through famines, slipped bread to hunted men in caves, multiplied small lunches into festivals when the math should not have worked. The math has never been the foundation. The father underneath the math has been. Let your eyes lift 1 inch from the spreadsheet to the one holding the spreadsheet. To the parent who has been measuring your worth in the behavior of a child who is currently struggling, hear me clearly. That child is not your foundation. You were not asked to hold your entire identity in a young soul who is still figuring out their own footing. Lift the weight off them. They cannot carry the load of being your bedrock, and the longer they feel it on their shoulders, the harder their walk becomes. Lay that weight down on me. Both of you will breathe easier. Both of you will stand straighter. Both of you will rediscover what a parent and a child are actually supposed to be to each other when neither one is asked to be the ground of the other. To the one who has been afraid to plant roots again because the last place you planted them collapsed, hear this softly. The collapse was real. The grief was real. The slow rebuilding of trust you have been doing in private has been seen. The fear of putting your weight down anywhere is honest. Bring that fear with you. Place it on the bedrock, too. The bedrock can hold the fear and the weight at once. You do not have to be unafraid before you are allowed to stand. You only have to test the floor 1 foot at a time, the way the hunted king tested every cave he slept in, until the night he finally slept through. To the friend whose health has been the one ledge you swore would never crack, and the ledge has cracked, and the news from the doctor was not what you wanted, and your inner ground has been giving way along with your body. Hear this most tenderly. Your body is not your foundation. It was never meant to be. Your body has been a beloved house borrowed for a season, kept up by me with more care than you have given it credit for, and even now in its frailty, it is being held by the same bedrock that holds the strongest body in the room next to you. The diagnosis did not move me. The diagnosis did not rearrange the floor under you. The floor under you is still the floor it has always been. You are standing on the same ground a healthy person is standing on, and the ground has not changed. Let the body do what the body is doing. The soul on top of it is held by something deeper. Press the back of one hand into the palm of the other, slowly, until you feel the pressure of one meeting the resistance of the other. Hold it for 1 breath, then release. Notice how each hand was not enough by itself, and how the meeting of the two made a small foundation between them that was firmer than either hand alone. That meeting is a little parable. You meeting me. My ground meeting your weight. Neither of us alone makes a foundation. The meeting of the two does. The meeting has been available every hour of your life. You only have to press your hand into it the way the back of your hand just pressed into your palm. Carry one line with you. I am the ground beneath the ground you are standing on. Say it once silently if you can. Then let it settle without trying to feel anything dramatic about it. The settling is the receiving. The receiving is the standing. The standing has already begun. Amen. Whichever of these words found steady ground in you, 7 brief letters wait inside the pinned space below. 1 for each morning of your coming week, slipped into your inbox the moment a quiet yes opens the door. Take them. Pass this along to a friend whose own footing has been giving way. Hit subscribe so the next word reaches you before the next wobble does. You were never meant to stand on this alone.